All right, you guys sent us some seriously intense stuff for this deep dive.
Congressional hearing transcripts.
Yeah, straight from those hearings about UAPs.
What most people call UFOs, right?
Exactly. So we're going deep into what the government's saying about all this.
And this wasn't just any hearing. This was a joint session, 2 subcommittees.
Oh, wow. So?
Yeah, cybersecurity, national security, government innovation, all involved.
So, like, right off the bat, we know this is serious business.
Absolutely. They're trying to figure out what the government knows about UAPs, how they're investigating them, what info they're gathering, and
what they're telling us or, not telling us.
exactly. That's the big question, right?
Yeah. So, what were some of the big takeaways from this hearing? What really stood out?
Well, first off, multiple witnesses, some really high-ranking people, said straight up,
Yeah.
UAPs are real, no question about it.
Whoa. Okay. So that's settled then.
She's like it.
But, I mean, that just leads to the next question, right? What are they?
Right, are we talking super advanced tech from, like, Russia or China? Or is it something completely different, something we don't even understand?
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Well, one witness, Luis Elizondo, he used to work in intelligence, said something really interesting.
Okay, what'd he say?
He said, UAPs are real advanced technologies, not made by our government or any other government.
Okay, hold up. So not just some next-level drones, then?
Doesn't sound like it. And this guy, Elizondo, he was deeply involved in the Pentagon's UAP investigations.
So he knows what he's talking about, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay, this is already getting pretty wild. We've got the Pentagon, top military officials, former intelligence officers, all saying UAPs are real and not from any country we know of.
Yep, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Remember the Go Fast video? The one where a Navy pilot filmed this weird object zipping around like crazy?
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
Well, Admiral Gallaudet, he was the Navy's top meteorologist at the time, he talked about a really strange experience with that video.
Oh, what happened?
He said he got this urgent email, the subject line was all caps, urgent safety, a flight issue, with the video attached. But then, get this, the next day, the email vanished, like completely gone.
Wait, are you serious? Just disappeared?
Poof. And to make it even weirder, nobody ever mentioned it again. Not his bosses, not anyone.
So he gets this super urgent email about a safety issue. The video's mind-blowing. And then radio silence. That's just creepy.
Yeah, and it suggests there's a level of secrecy around UAPs that even admirals are kept out of.
Which is, let's be honest, kind of scary.
Sure.
Yeah.
If they're keeping admirals in the dark, what hope do we have?
Right. Makes you wonder what else is out there, what they're not showing us.
And that brings us to another bombshell Elizondo dropped during this hearing.
Okay, hit me.
He said the U.S. government has these secret UAP crash retrieval programs.
Whoa, wait, crash retrieval? Like they're finding pieces of these things.
That's what he's saying. And remember, this guy has a background in intelligence, counterintelligence.
Yeah, so he's not just some conspiracy theorist, right?
Yep. Exactly. He even claims he's seen documentation, knows people who were injured by, like, recovered UAP material.
Okay, now things are getting really serious. So we have these mysterious objects. They're maybe crashing, and the government's collecting them. What could they be doing with this stuff?
Well, if they're recovering pieces, it's not a stretch to think they're trying to reverse engineer the technology.
Oh, man. That's like straight out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine if they could figure out how these things work.
We could see breakthroughs in, like, energy, propulsion, materials. It's mind-blowing.
But there's also a dark side, right? What if this technology falls into the wrong hands?
Absolutely. That's a huge risk.
And then there's the whole nuclear connection. We didn't even talk about that yet.
Right. There, multiple witnesses said UAPs seem really interested in nuclear facilities, places like Oak Ridge, Savannah River, Los Alamos.
Okay, now that's just freaky. Why would they care about nuclear stuff? Are they studying us? Are they a threat?
It's a huge question.
Yeah.
And it definitely raises the stakes.
Makes you wonder how seriously we should be taking all this.
No kidding. And then there's this whole thing about a program called Immaculate Constellation.
Immaculate Constellation. Sounds like a superhero team or something.
It does, right. Well, this investigative journalist, Michael Schellenberger, he brought this program to light. He had a document from someone inside the government.
Okay, so what's the deal with this Immaculate Constellation? What is it?
Basically, it's a special access program, a SAP.
A what?
It's like a super secret program, so secret that even members of Congress often don't know they exist.
Oh, wow. So like Black Ops stuff.
Pretty much. And this Immaculate Constellation, according to the document, is like a central hub for all things UAP. They've got images, videos, sensor data, the works.
So like a UAP treasure chest.
It seems that way. And get this, Schellenberger says the government is sitting on hundreds, maybe thousands, of images and videos they're not releasing.
Seriously. Why all the secrecy? What does that tell us about what they really know?
It definitely suggests they're taking it way more seriously than they let on publicly.
And it feeds into that whole lack of transparency thing, right?
Yeah. Big time. It's clear they're holding back.
It's so frustrating. If they have all this evidence, why not share it with us? Don't we have a right to know?
That's what a lot of people are saying. And the committee members at the hearing, they were really pushing back on this lack of transparency.
So even when Congress tries to get answers, they hit a wall.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, who's really in control here and what are their motives?
Okay, so we've got UAPs, buzzing nuclear sites, secret programs, disappearing emails, and a government playing hide and seek with the truth. This is intense.
It is, and we've only scratched the surface. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll get into how the government pushed back against efforts to uncover the truth and what potential solutions were discussed. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of UAPs.
Last time, we were talking about how the government seems more interested in keeping secrets than actually telling us what they know, even when Congress is asking.
Yeah, that lack of transparency, it was a big deal throughout the whole hearing.
Like every time they got close to something interesting, boom, roadblock.
Exactly. And it wasn't just a feeling, there were actual allegations that UAP information was being kept from, not just the public, but from Congress too.
Wait, seriously, so even our elected officials, the people who are supposed to represent us, they're not getting the full picture.
That's what it sounds like. And there were even claims that the government was running like a misinformation campaign, specifically targeting people who were speaking out about UAPs.
Hold on, are you saying they're trying to make anyone who talks about this stuff look crazy? Why would they do that?
It's all about control, right?
Right.
If you control the story, you control how people see the issue.
So by discrediting witnesses and dismissing evidence, they can basically silence anyone who challenges them.
Exactly. It's a classic tactic used throughout history to suppress information.
So it's not just about keeping secrets, it's about shaping the narrative to fit their agenda.
Right. And it's not just a theory. Admiral Gallaudet, remember him from the Go Fast video? He talks about how he experienced this firsthand.
Oh, wow. What happened?
He said he went to meet with the leadership at AARO, that's the Pentagon's UAP task force.
Okay, and?
He thought it'd be a quick meeting, but instead, they grilled him for hours about UAP reports. They even tried to convince him that the Tic Tac incident was just American technology.
Wait, the one where those Navy pilots saw that weird Tic Tac-shaped object doing impossible things?
That's the one. And those pilots, they've said over and over, it was nothing they'd ever seen before.
So even with first-hand accounts from highly trained military personnel, the government's still pushing back, trying to explain it away.
It's a pattern we see again and again. Makes you wonder what they're so afraid of.
It does make you question if we can trust anything they say about UAPs.
It's a valid concern. And that's why these congressional hearings are so important. They give us a peek behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah, a peek into a world the government's been trying to keep hidden.
Exactly. So we've got government secrecy, misinformation, lack of transparency. It's pretty bleak.
It is. But during the hearing, they did talk about some possible solutions, right? Did any of those seem promising?
There were a few glimmers of hope. The committee members seemed really interested in finding ways to encourage more people to report UAP sightings, especially pilots.
Yeah, that makes sense. More data, more information. Maybe we can finally start to figure this out.
Right. And they talked about the need for like a safe, confidential reporting system, one that would protect people from ridicule or retaliation.
It's kind of sad that we even have to worry about that, but given how whistleblowers have been treated in the past, it's understandable.
For sure. But there is some good news. There's this bill called the Safe Airspace for Americans Act, and it aims to create that kind of reporting system, at least for civilian pilots.
Okay, that's a step in the right direction. But what about all the information the government's already sitting on? Can we force them to release some of those documents and videos?
Well, there's another bill, the UAP Disclosure Act, that would create a review board to specifically declassify UAP material.
So they go through all those secret files and decide what they can release to the public.
That's the idea. Of course, whether the government would actually cooperate with that, even if it's the law, that's a different question.
Yeah, they could always come up with some excuse to keep things classified, right?
They could, but the fact that these bills are even being discussed in Congress, it's a sign that things might be changing.
So public pressure is starting to work.
It seems like it. And that's why it's so important to keep talking about this, keep demanding transparency, support legislation that pushes for open disclosure?
You know, they say sunlight is the best disinfectant.
That's right. The more we shine a light on this, the less room there is for secrets and lies.
And as we keep digging into this deep dive, we'll see how that battle between transparency and secrecy is playing out in the world of UAP research. Welcome back to the show.
We're diving even deeper into all things UAP.
Last time, we were talking about government secrecy and how they might be holding back information, even from Congress.
Right. And there were those claims about secret UAP crash retrieval programs.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
It gets even wilder, trust me.
Okay, I'm ready. Tell me everything.
Well, Representative Tim Burchett, he's on that House Oversight Committee. He was really pushing for answers about these crash retrieval programs.
Okay, what was he asking about?
He kept pressing Elizondo, the intelligence guy, about specifics. Like, does the government actually have stuff, materials, technologies that are definitely not from Earth?
And what did Elizondo say? Did he give up any secrets?
He was pretty careful with his words, which makes sense, considering he's under a non-disclosure agreement.
Right, of course.
But he did talk about this one attempt to transfer recovered materials from a private contractor to the government.
Wait, so there's physical evidence somewhere?
That's what it sounds like. Elizondo said this aerospace company, a lot of people think it was Bigelow Aerospace, they wanted to give the government some material that had been collected way back in the 1950s.
The 1950s, that's before Roswell even...
Exactly. But the transfer was blocked, maybe by the CIA.
So this mysterious stuff, whatever it is, could still be out there somewhere.
We don't know for sure, but Elizondo's testimony definitely makes you wonder.
This is like something out of a spy movie. Secret materials, government cover-ups, private contractors.
It's crazy, right? And get this. Burchett asked Elizondo straight up if the government had recovered any bodies.
Bodies. Like alien bodies.
He didn't use the word alien, but that's what everyone was thinking. Elizondo said he knew about reports that biologics had been recovered, but couldn't confirm anything else.
Biologics, that's a pretty loaded term. If that's true, it'd be the biggest story in history.
No kidding. It makes you realize the scope of what we're dealing with here. Scientific breakthroughs, national security, the question of whether we're alone in the universe. It's no wonder the government's so secretive.
Yeah, but if they have proof, shouldn't they tell us? This isn't just some science fiction thing. It could affect all of us.
It's a tough question. How much should the government be allowed to keep secret, especially when it comes to something this big?
It's a balancing act, right? National security versus the public's right to know.
Exactly. But even with all this talk of secrecy and cover-ups, there's a lot of emphasis on the need for better science in UAP research.
Yeah, I remember Ronald Moultrie. He was a little more cautious than some of the other witnesses. He kept saying, we need hard evidence.
And he's not wrong. We can't just jump to conclusions based on stories and blurry videos. We need solid data, scientific analysis.
So how do we move forward? How do we balance the need for good science with the fact that the government might be hiding crucial information?
It's a challenge. We need more transparency, but we also need rigorous evidence-based research.
We need scientists working with intelligence officials, sharing data, trying to figure this out together.
Exactly. And, even with all the mystery and speculation, there's something really exciting about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like we're on the brink of discoveries that could change everything.
Yeah. Imagine what we could learn about physics, technology, even our place in the universe.
It's a pretty amazing time to be alive, right? So much we still don't know.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what I really want people to take away is this. It's not just about UAPs. It's about being curious, keeping an open mind, and always searching for knowledge.
It's about asking the tough questions, challenging what we think we know, and being open to the unknown.
It's about remembering that the biggest discoveries often come from the most unexpected places.
So keep looking up, folks, and keep your minds open. Maybe we'll crack the code on UAPs and change our understanding of the universe.
And that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us.